This is King Noble Black Supremacy. With this particular video, I want to talk about Bobby Valentine and the new transgender conspiracy. That's correct. I'm calling it a conspiracy. That now, and let me add the word cowardice conspiracy, because I don't think any group coming up with a plot or a ploy to ensure its political survival as a group is necessarily wrong. So if you're not conspiring as a group to continue to exist for the survival and the defense of that group, then not only is it not wrong, it's also not rational. So the fact that it's a conspiracy doesn't necessarily make it wrong or unnecessary. But I would go in extra length to make this a very cowardice conspiracy, particular by the Black transgender community. Now, Bobby Valentine was really set up with this transgender. All this was filmed and recorded. It was totally set up. Now, whether he knew it was a transgender or it was someone pretending to be an actual woman, that would be an interesting question to ask. But that it was set up and not a perfect plot or ploy, I don't think could be argued. I think it's pretty clear that this was a setup. Recently, transgenders have been coming under fire in America, particularly under Trump's administration. The whole genderless washroom thing, having washrooms that are not gender specific, has caused a lot of controversy and upheaval. And it's kind of put the spotlight on the transgenders in a very negative way. And now you have Trump saying that transgenders are no longer allowed in the United States military to fight in the United States military. So they're under fire right now. So they need some type of conspiracy, some type of plot through social media, through Hollywood, just some type of plot using the mainstream in order to make themselves relevant and draw attention to themselves. Somehow, Bobby Valentine fell victim to this plot, obviously. Why is it cowardice? Well, let me continue with the story. So not only did Bobby Valentine get caught up in this plot to bring attention to these transgenders, to make themselves relevant, to get them the type of attention that they needed to put the spotlight on them in a way for them to present themselves to the world. Because if you look at the video that the transgender did afterwards, it's not even about the incident. The whole video of the transgender lover, supposedly of Bobby Valentine, is a person just saying, thank you for being my friend and thank you for caring about me and thank you. It has nothing to do with the actual incident. It's a 15-minute video of the transgender just trying to make themselves appear likable and respectable. And then you have to ask the question with Bobby Valentine, that you mean to tell me this very well and affluent, successful artist, somewhat neo soul or R&B artist, can't afford to pay a transgender? So just ran off with the money. They can get a prostitute of any type and they can't afford to pay it? Or was he tricked to sleeping with this transgender person under the auspices that it was a female? Was he tricked? And was he pulled into a publicity stunt? So it looks like a conspiracy to me. But I say cowardice. And to continue, Charlemagne the God had Little Duval on his show. Very outspoken brother that don't hold no punches, try to keep it raw and say what's on his chest. And when asked certain questions by Charlemagne the God, who's pretty controversial himself, he comes out, Lil Duval comes out and says, if he find out he slept with any trannies or some transgender making himself appear to be a female, that individual would end up dead. These are the statements that he made. He seemed very unapologetic about these statements, and he came with later videos to double down on his statements. All Charlemagne the God said was, hey, that's a hate crime. He didn't condone it. He didn't justify it. He didn't rationalize it. He just said it's a hate crime, left it at that. It wasn't supported enough by Charlemagne the God. The statements was not supported enough for the Black transgender community, or what they're saying, the Black transgender lives matter community, to come out as Charlemagne the God. Or to even come out at Lil Duval. The statements to me were just, they didn't warrant that. For them to come and start to boycott and now to be divisive within the Black community, Black transgenders versus Black anti-transgenders. And now we got some Willie Lynch division going on in a time where we are all under attack by white supremacy, not because of our sexual orientation or our gender, but because of the color of our skin in this Trump's America, and this racially charged society that we live in today. We're being divided now based on gender and sexual orientation, which is strategical, which shows me a higher conspiracy. Because there's a lower conspiracy of the transgender community, and then there's a higher conspiracy of the white supremacists and of the elite who fear Black unity, fear us coming together in a time where we're under attack. But I say it was cowardice of the Black transgender community, because it's Trump and the forces of white supremacy that have been delving the most serious blows to the transgender community. It is the overall mainstream white supremacy ran society that is attacking people because of their sexual orientation and their gender in the time that we live in now. It's not Charlemagne the God. It's not Lil Duval. It's not Bobby Valentine. But they are being utilized and usurped, and they're the easiest one to hit. See, when the white men come at you, you go at the nearest person around you with your anger and your animosity and your feeling of disregard and disrespect and insignificance. You have to hit the one that's closest to you. You have to attack the people that are closest to you to act out your vengeance and your hostility. And those closest to you happen to look like you and be Black. So the white man, the elite powers, continue to get off the hook. And this coward is not for the transgender community to go directly at the elite powers, to go directly at Trump, to go directly at the mainstream. They don't want to deal with white supremacy, which is concocting this narrative that's dividing us against one another. And it's propagating the hatred of transgenders beyond race, beyond nationality. The real culprit here, the real devil here, is white supremacy today. Is the mainstream white supremacy, is the government. But Willie Lynch and cowardiceness would have the transgender community come out as Charlemagne the God. Come out at the emotional rants of Lil Duval. And use Bobby Valentine as a publicity stunt to make themselves relevant. transgenders want to put themselves out there and make themselves relevant and significant now and draw attention to themselves, and they're desperate now. I see the same thing with Polite, with the transgender in LA dancing up on Polite's car, making it appear that Polite was accepting of transgenders and their way of life to make themselves appear more acceptable, to raise the question of where the transgenders fit in this society, to paint a different picture of themselves through association with others. This is a conspiracy and a ploy to transgenderize our music and transgenderize different dimensions of our society and our culture in order to try to change the massive view and massive perspective of them. This is very, very strategical. It's cowardice of black transgenders, though, to go at these individuals that are not making policies, are not making the laws, are not affecting the laws that will ultimately affect the culture and the way of life and the lifestyle of these transgenders. That's cowardice. And it shows me that many black transgenders are confused. That if they have to choose groups based on their nationality and their race, or based upon their gender and sexual orientation, we know a side that they're going on. We know a group that they're going to identify with. They'll identify with the transgenders and attack their own and be used in a strategical division tactic by the elites and the higher powers today. We see that now. And it's strategical to disunify us and take away our power as a group now. Very strategical move. Because Black Lives Matter was made up of all sexual orientations and genders and represented black people as a whole, but now it's divide and conquer now. It is a conspiracy by the elite, and the black transgender community is playing into it. They're getting sucked into it out of Willie Lynch and cowardiceness. Fight the real power and the real enemy to the safety, security, and the well-beingness of the transgender community in America. And it's not black. Those who don't really make the policy or really affect the policies or the overall narrative of this country. This King Noble Black Supremacy. Join my website, www.kingnobleuncensored.com. Subscribe to my new YouTube page now. Hit the subscribe button, King Noble Guru. Hit the like button for this video. Hit the bell so you get notifications every time I put out new videos. Follow me on Instagram, King Noble Uncensored.c.o.m. Black Supremacy.